Catalano, and welcome. Today I'm speaking with Nicholas Colas. He is here to discuss Bitcoin and his upcoming presentation at the New York Society of Security Analysts. Nick, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Nick, tell us a bit about yourself first, your firm, what you do, and then we'll kind of get into your upcoming presentation in Bitcoin.
Sure. I'm the Chief Market Strategist at ConvergeX Group. We're an institutional broker-dealer based right here in New York, just a few blocks up from headquarters here. And I've been writing on a variety of topics for a number of years for ConvergeX, one of which has been Bitcoin. I'm probably the first analyst to actually sit down and really analyze Bitcoin, and that was just about a year ago, and obviously it's become a very big topic since.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's certainly timely. Now on March 5th here at the New York Society, you're going to be giving a presentation discussion about Bitcoin. Tell us a bit about what people can expect to hear when you speak on the subject.
Well, I tell you, if you know nothing about Bitcoin, please come, because you're going to hear from a really bottom-up basis. What is it? Where did it come from? What's it good for? And what's all the controversy about? But if you know a lot about Bitcoin, if you've traded Bitcoin for yourself, or if you've looked at it for your institution, we'll get into some of the more complex factors as well. What disintermediating factors might make Bitcoin a real threat to things like the banking system or currencies eventually. So it'll be a really one-size-fits-all kind of conversation.
Okay, and I want to get into some of the aspects of that in a moment. Let me give you my limited understanding of Bitcoin. It functions like a currency. It's a store of value, and that if I want to buy or sell things, I can do it like I can with pretty much any other currency. I guess the one variable, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, the one variable is if I took 10,000 US dollars and converted it into equivalent at today's price of 10,000 Bitcoins, then that might change, over the next week, month, year, in terms of that $10,000 value. Do I kind of have that aspect of it correct?
Certainly it is like every other kind of asset that you and I are used to analyzing in our day jobs. It varies in price every day. Bitcoin really is a technology. It's a technology meant to be able to transfer money at very little cost around the world. Mm-hmm. In that respect, it is very similar to a currency, as the way we think about a currency. Right. It can be a store of value, but really it's only 4 years old. And I would say a store of value really is more like a gold or a silver coin that's been around for thousands of years, that's proven its store of value. Bitcoin may one day get there, but it isn't there right now. I think of it as basically a venture capital technology that gets marked to market every day, because we see that price go up and down. Mm-hmm. And you see that aspect of it sort of brings the currency part of it, I get. It's the fluctuating price part of it. That is part of the equation. If I go into this field, if I put money in there and I want to do a transaction anonymously, because a number of people find this to be apparently useful from an anonymity point of view, that type of thing. Tell me about that fluctuating value element of it. Sure. Right now we see Bitcoin traded at a number of different exchanges around the world. Some, like any other financial asset, are more liquid than others. So if you wanted to buy and sell a few Bitcoins, the bid-ask spread is very tight. You don't see a lot of cost there. But if you're trying to unload several thousand Bitcoins, as would say a stock, you're trying to sell 1 million shares, you're going to affect the price in the near term. So it does behave according to supply and demand, just like any other financial asset does.
Your opinion, do you think that this is something that has staying power, or is it a fad, or how do you see Bitcoin, in the next, year, 2, 3, 5 years?
I'll tell you, what really drew me to Bitcoin in the first place was the fact that for the first time, I think, in human history, technology, and a technology written by people we don't even know, was able to create trust in a community, that originally a very small community, and then obviously a much larger community over time. And it meant that technology was a source of trust, just like sovereign nations have been a source of trust for thousands of years. Whether that trust factor can last through all the permutations that technology always goes through remains to be seen. But I think it's the most interesting and fascinating change in potentially how human beings transact business that we've had since the first coins were minted 700 BC.
And let's give everybody a little taste of the complexity aspect that you had mentioned before, because there are elements of this that are rather unique. So talk about, pick one complexity dynamic to this, if you would.
Well, the most popular one to discuss right now is where you hold your Bitcoin is very, very important. The core architecture of the system is very robust and very sound, never been hacked, a very solidly designed system with massively distributed qualities. So tens of thousands of servers run the core Bitcoin software. However, just one level up, things get very complex. So if you happen to own your Bitcoin in one wallet, as they call them,
right,
or on one exchange, you may or may not have access to that money in real time, depending on the solvency and security of that exchange. So it isn't, in some degrees, like having a dollar bill, which is good everywhere and the same value everywhere.
Sure.
Some Bitcoins are different from others, and storing them in some places yields different results than others. That's just one layer of complexity. There's many more.
And there are many more. Yeah, all the more reason to come here.
That's right.
You know, and to or attend. I think people can view this also. You know, through NYSSA's video network. Last item. How should investors look at this? I mean, a large part of this audience is the investor audience. I mean, is there an investment dynamic here? Fluctuating value, I can see that element of it. Maybe I might want to speculate on it. How do investors look at it from directly with Bitcoin and then from services that might kind of plug in around it?
Yeah, there's three different levels to look at it. The first and most narrow is Bitcoin as a method of transferring money around the world. Mm-hmm. And as such, it is a threat to the global banking system because banks have made a lot of money over the years just charging people to move their money from point A to point B.
Fees.
If you want to send $100 from here to Latin America, it might cost you $12 or $14. With Bitcoin, it's 20 or 30 cents.
Wow.
So you're going to get some margin squeeze if Bitcoin takes off among money transfer and banking system agents. Just one level up, there are a lot of venture capital opportunities in Bitcoin, which I'm sure a lot of the community is beginning to hear about in their day jobs. And should they be interested in looking at that, this is a great primer to understand the core basics of Bitcoin. And then finally at that 30,000 foot level, it'll be a fascinating conversation because really, as I said, for the first time, technology is taking on a greater role in society than it ever has before.
Mm-hmm. Now, fascinating, all around absolutely fascinating. So one of the issues that investors, from what you had just said, that might think about is impact of the banking system.
That's right.
Profitability of banks. I mean, if there's been fantastic sector that's done very well over the last number of years, it's been the financial sector.
That's right, and that's also an area which, let's face it, the last innovation in banking was probably the ATM, maybe online banking.
Right.
You know, there really hasn't been a fundamental innovation, technologically speaking, in banking and money for thousands of years. So even if Bitcoin isn't the one, guaranteed Bitcoin 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 is just around the corner. So understanding it now definitely will pay off in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you.
This has been most enlightening. March 5th is the date here at the New York Society. Check it out. I think you'll learn a lot, and I have a feeling there's a lot more to this here, playing out on a whole range of other levels. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.